unconditional love is the quickest highway to unconditional disrespect.
Sadia Khan, relationship psychologist, viral content creator, and the voice of hard truths in modern love.
How do you tell people to break a relationship?
Just imagine your partner doesn't change at all for the rest of your life. Can you accept them for exactly who they are? If the answer is no way, you're just wasting your own time because they're not going to change.
Men out there try to be the nice guy because we don't know any better.
The key thing with nice men is that they lack masculinity. And without that, women cannot be sexually invested in you. They can use you and they can be your best friend, but you will lose intimacy. You become like siblings.
Then you try to be the alpha, which makes you the fake alpha.
The real testament of whether you're alpha or not is the women you select and the behavior you tolerate. Nothing else. There are conditions to my love because my love is good for you and you have to earn it a little bit. The moment they feel that, it brings out a better side in them.
I listen to a lot of your stuff, and it's crazy wisdom because you're somehow channeling the truth.
I'm actually always right. Can I just say that? I want to say that on screen. I'm always right. And if you don't agree with me, it's because you haven't lived long enough yet. I'm saying this not because I'm making it up. I'm saying it because I'm on the ground. I have an insight that I genuinely believe works. I wouldn't say this if it wasn't true. I actually would happily give this all up. But the problem is, nobody says the things I'm saying. So if I've said something and it triggers you, give it time, you'll see that I'm telling the truth.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... Hi, it's Brian Rose from London Real. You probably know that we've just recently been re-platformed on YouTube after 25 months completely in the dark. The truth is, I really need your help. What I really need you to do is click on that subscribe button right now, like this video, and maybe even leave a comment or share the link with friends. We're really fighting against an algorithm that's tried to keep us quiet for so long. And the more subscribers we have, the more people watch our content, the better guests we can bring you, the better content, and we can continue transforming lives. We've been doing this for 14 years now. I want to do this for another 14 years, but I really need your help. So click on that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, share this, and we're going to continue to bring you more and more great content. Thank you. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Sadia Khan, the psychologist, teacher, and relationship expert. Your background is in education and developmental psychology, specializing in helping people better understand their relationships with friends, family, and most importantly, their partners. You've amassed a huge audience on social media, with many of your videos racking up millions of views. You believe that most modern relationships are fundamentally unhealthy, with people failing to recognize their own insecurities and the impact of their childhood trauma. You said that the rise of negative role models online is creating narcissistic women, while pornography is making men incapable of connecting on both a physical and emotional level. You argue that dating culture has become transactional, with both men and women struggling to build genuine connections due to an overabundance of choice and a lack of emotional awareness. Sadia, welcome back to London Real in Dubai.
Thank you. I do not sound like a bundle of joy based on that. Like, everything is wrong with the world, but that is exactly how I feel, unfortunately. So yes, it's exactly right.
Well, you do it with a smile.
I do. I'm like, oh, your life is going to be over, but with a smile. But no, this is just the current climate and the problems at the moment, but there's always solutions to all of the problems.
I hope so.
Yes,
because I want to address a bunch of issues. This isn't necessarily for men, but I've got questions as a man, and a lot of our viewers and listeners are men.
Yes.
But I think both sexes can get a lot from this.
Absolutely.
You have just some type of wisdom about you, Sadia. I don't know really what it is. I think it's a combination of your background and maybe a little bit of your religion and where you grew up.
Definitely.
But maybe we jump into something super relevant, which is I'm in Dubai right now.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been here 2 months. Last year I spent a couple months here. I've been coming back and forth for the last couple of years. And normally I'm in London. And I know you spend time in both cities. And yet both cities are major capitals in the world, and yet very, very different.
Yes.
From so many perspectives, and I'm assuming also from a dating and relationship perspective.
Absolutely.
And so let's jump in there.
Absolutely.
How is Dubai different than London?
Well, I'd be interested in how you find it different. I would be interested in what you think is the main difference. What I found to be, when I see the markets, to be fair, certain behaviors are getting globalized because people who with money in London spend a lot of time in Dubai. So certain behaviors are getting globalized. But generally speaking, the standards are totally different. So in Dubai, it's very typical for a woman to expect men to pay her rent, to expect a really nice lavish restaurant, and men to expect a 10 out of 10 supermodel. It's very like high expectations on both ends. In London, it's low expectations on both ends. It's very much like everything is kind of low expectations because life in itself is not that exciting. Life is not that intriguing. It's not that exciting. So what I find the main key difference is why I think relationships last longer in the UK than they do in Dubai is in Dubai, there's so many alternatives to being in a relationship. There's so many other ways to stimulate your life outside of a relationship. You can run on the beach, you can go to nice restaurants, you can meet new people. Being single is really fun. You can be on a boat. If you're not in a relationship, you can still have a great life. But in London or the UK, if you're not in a relationship, most of your days get dark by the time it's 4 o'clock. You're going straight home, going to the gym, and then getting ready for work. Without a partner, it feels very, very lonely and it feels very like empty. So I can see why people tend to be in more toxic relationships and that they're just settling in London. Whereas in Dubai, they're in more fleeting relationships that kind of are a bit more like transient because they can replace people quite quickly and easily, and their life itself is quite stimulating, so they don't need to invest in a relationship as much. So both of them have their flaws, but for different reasons.
That's really interesting.
What do you find?
Well, and again, like we were talking earlier about like just the energy levels in Dubai and London. And London, I always tell people, when I look around in Dubai, everybody is here intentionally.
Yes.
The woman who serves me coffee at Starbucks and the taxi driver, everybody comes here for a better life. And you could say they should be paid more or blah, 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 but everyone is having a better life here and they intentionally came here.
Yeah.
So the energy is like really high.
Well, the energy is of gratitude as well.
Yeah,
there's a general energy of gratitude and like an aura of happiness to some extent. I'm not saying I don't know the ins and outs, but there's a general gratitude to be here.
Whereas in London, I walk around and I'd say 4 out of 5 people are phoning it in. Like they're collecting a check. They don't really want to be there. They're grinding it out. And you feel this energy of this, And also it's a falling empire, right? Whereas maybe 200 years ago, London was a rising empire.
Yeah.
And Dubai is a rising empire. And so it's got all this excitement and anticipation of where we're going, where everybody in London pretty much has to admit that it's worse than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And 10 years from now, it's going to be worse than it is now.
Yeah.
It is.
And they make themselves feel better by saying, oh, but I would never want to live in Dubai. They've got slave labor. I would never want to live in Dubai. It's so shallow. But really, it's like there's slave labor, there's homelessness in London. There's so much going. I feel like a slave in London. I feel like I work and 40% goes to the government. I feel like a slave here. As soon as I land, I feel like £5 to park here, £5 to breathe here. Whereas I land in Dubai and it's like, oh, you're a tourist, here's a SIM card. Or, oh, welcome, here's this, here's that. There's a general hospitality as soon as you land in the Middle East that you'll never find in Western cultures, and in particular in London. There's a lack of hospitality because there is no abundance, unfortunately. The government takes everything from you. So I can see why people are like that. I can understand, because I've been there myself. I've been there totally myself, and now shifting to a more hospitable environment, I couldn't be more lucky.
Damn, Sadia, you're even wiser than I thought.
No,
It's true though. You're right. Because
Yeah.
when you land in London, it feels oppressing. And if you think about it, they're taking 40% of your income and they're delivering you dirty tube stops in an NHS where you can't get an appointment, and homelessness everywhere, and bad police.
And I still can't accept things like ULEZ and things like these kind of charges where I'm just like
Extra taxes.
Yeah, and old cars have to pay to go drive around, but it's like they're already obviously poorer because they're driving their old cars, and you're taxing them for driving there. And I'm like, these poor people, no wonder they're hostile. I can completely understand it. So that's why I've got a bit of resentment towards London, only because I was told my whole life this is the best city in the world. Best city, best city, best city. So I was like, okay, I'm in the best city, but why don't I feel it? And then when you move abroad, you realize that anywhere with good weather is better, for me personally.
No, I think you have a good point, and I think your assessment of maybe men and women are probably correct. I would say women in London traditionally have not had to maybe go out of their way as much when it comes to looks as maybe their equivalents in New York City or LA.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I would say, here, like you said, there's a lot of pretty girls. There's a lot of successful men, or at least people who at least pretend to be successful.
Yeah, very least.
Maybe that's a good effort.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a woman, you can at least pretend to be good looking too.
Yeah.
The effort is appreciated.
Yeah.
When I go to events, people really dress up.
Yeah.
They go out of their way. The women put on makeup, the men dress up, which getting a man to dress up in London is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah, you won't
and
see
like
it.
everyone makes an effort.
Yeah.
And it's always like surprising. It's noticeable to me. And in London, I would hang out in places where people would normally dress up.
Yeah.
And I still notice it here.
I always felt like overdressed in London. People always almost make you feel bad for being well dressed. Right. They're always like, oh, where are you going? Why are you always in heels? It's almost like they don't want you to be your best potential. And even sometimes online, they're like, oh, take your makeup off, because they're so used to being a lower level of themselves. Whereas when you go to, it's not for everybody. This is where I think if you meet girls who hate Dubai, chances are it's girls that feel intimidated by the level of beauty standards here. Whereas, and similarly, if you meet men that hate Dubai, it'll be they're intimidated by the financial standards of the men here. Okay. It's usually people who are intimidated. And as a result, they'll say, oh, I don't like it. And they'll say, oh, shallow. But really, you can meet very like-minded people. It's just that those like-minded people still live an elevated life. So it's very competitive. And those people that I always find that said, oh, I hate it. It's so shallow. It's so not me. It's people who literally couldn't compete in those two areas, looks or money. And they kind of filter themselves out.
That's interesting. I was just talking with a guest earlier about money. It's interesting about this city is that since there's so much money, I feel like people are looking at what you have besides money.
Yeah.
And so I would say to a man who might feel intimidated of being here is that actually your character and your work and your reputation and your vision is maybe more important here than it is in London. Because here, like I said, there is a lot of money around, so that doesn't delineate you.
And same, there's a lot of beauty. So those things alone aren't actually enough. Right. Yeah, it's nice because if that's all you have is beauty as a girl, you'll come to Dubai and be like, every girl is beautiful. Now I've got to actually be a nice person. And same thing with men. It's like, if I only have money, it's like, but every man has a lot of money here. So it actually forces you to work on your networking skills, your independent skills, like just other skills if you want to. There is a really shallow side to it. There's a super shallow side to Dubai, which I completely understand. But if you ignore that part and just take the high standards of living, there's nowhere better.
It's so counterintuitive, Sadia, that a place that from the outside looks like the ultimate in bling and the ultimate, shallow place actually has a lot more depth going on.
I find it really deep. I found so many great connections out here. I love the Islamic kind of culture as well here. I know it's kind of disappearing a bit with the influx, but I generally find, like, for me, it's a city that suits my personality really well. Does it suit yours?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, but it definitely suits my personality to a T. I couldn't be happier, and I feel lucky all the time that I live here. And I'm always worried, like, if they ever make me live somewhere else, I don't know where I go. I can't even go on holiday in peace because I'm comparing everything to Dubai. I'm like, Dubai would never do this. Dubai would never do that. So the safety that everything I know I could go on, I don't want to bore your viewers, but it really is an incredible city. And we can, as other countries, you can learn a lot from its hospitality if you want to compete with it.
Yeah, very much so. I just took my boys to Kenya for the week for safari, and I got to really see a country in Africa and how they live.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people come here to work. And so you really see a contrast of what they can get at home versus what they could get here or build here. And it's just an amazing jewel kind of.
We're very lucky.
In the Middle East. I feel lucky to be here too.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
All right, but let's talk about relationships.
Yes.
So you have clients, I'm guessing, in both London and Dubai.
Yes.
And you talked a little bit about these interesting standards. And I think you're right. I mean, there are so many options here that maybe you don't have to have that significant other. Whereas in the UK, in your life of toil and darkness, you need somebody to hold on to at the end of the day just to make it through.
Yeah, I was so, like, sometimes I'd have clients come to me and there'd been these awful toxic relationships. So they don't even like each other. They genuinely hate each other. They're not even attracted to each other. They have nothing in common and they're fighting to make it work. They won't let go of each other. And I'd always have this kind of like, but why? I couldn't understand why. But when I go to London in like December, November, and I look outside the window and it's raining, it's miserable, I'm like, I completely get it. I completely get it. If you don't have a friends and family, even if you do, you don't even visit them that much. Right. So if you're home by yourself and it's dark and miserable, it's almost better to choose the comfort of the chaos than otherwise it's just isolation. So then I had a complete understanding of why they stay in these really unfulfilling relationships. So I think it helps because then I become less judgmental, because I normally would be like, but you can leave, like you can be in a healthy scenario, but the alternatives are so minimal in certain cultures and certain environments that I can understand why people stay.
Okay. And so people are looking at that dark day and that rain coming out, and they're in a relationship that they don't really want to be in. How do you tell people to break a relationship? And do you have to say to them, look, there is a way to get into the next relationship? Because I'm guessing a lot of people, especially if they've been in marriages for 10 or 20 years, they think, I'm never going to find someone else. I don't want to go on a dating app.
Of course.
And how do you walk people through that?
Well, here's what I say to them. Just imagine your partner doesn't change at all for the rest of your life. Nothing changes. They're exactly how you met them today. And then say to yourself, can I accept them for who they are rather than begging them to change? The moment you ask yourself that question, can I accept them? Because they're not going to change. Majority of people, even if you look at your own parents, I know my parents my whole life, they haven't changed drastically. Yeah, they're relatively the same people, which I'm glad, like I'm happy that they are. But in terms of their marriage, they haven't changed much. So people don't change. And they think, but what if they go therapy? What if they watch a bunch of your podcasts, whatever? But generally, they'll only change if they meet somebody else who has a different set of standards. Now, what I mean by that is if I'm constantly cheating on my husband, I'm disrespecting him, this, that, and the other, chances are I'll never change with my husband because he's tolerated that. But if I choose another man who's got higher standards, maybe I'll change. But with the same person, it's like starting to work really hard at your job when really you're already like the CEO and you've already been promoted 100 times. Why would you change? But in a new company, you have to show your levels. So that's why I would say in this relationship, can you accept them for exactly who they are? If the answer is no way, then I say stop expecting change and then you have to leave. You're just wasting your own time. But if you can accept who they are, then just accept and stop nagging at them about the things that you don't like. Okay. But radical acceptance will help them realize whether or not they can actually put up with this for the rest of their life.
Okay. All right. Got it. Questions about the alpha male versus the nice guy versus the fake alpha male.
Oh, the fake alpha males, the ones with podcasts and telling everybody how alpha they are, they're the ones.
But the problem with men out there is that I'd say by default, most of us try to be the nice guy because we don't know any better. And our moms probably taught us to be the nice guy and we get nervous around the women that are good looking and we just want to be nice, even though that's probably the worst thing to do. And so the next step of that is if you learn some game, then you try to be the alpha, which makes you the fake alpha.
Exactly.
And then over time, as you improve yourself and become more of a man, maybe you turn into an alpha.
Yeah.
So how do people negotiate that madness?
Well, here's where it starts from, and this is where it's so common in the world that we see it today. In previous generations, men had very, very strict fathers that were quite aggressive and hostile and stuff, and they just accepted that as a norm. Now, the generation of men realize that was, or they think that was wrong, right? So if they had that strict, stern father, they hated that. Whereas previous generations has accepted that's how men come. And this is the first time we've got men that hate their fathers raising children. So what ends up happening is they think, I want to be nothing like my dad. My dad was so hostile. He was so aggressive. I want to be like as nice because I saw how mean he was to my mum. And they kind of have that mentality because they saw those kind of relationships where the man was the boss and the woman was kind of a bit more submissive. And they're like, that's wrong because that's what they've been taught. That's wrong. So they were like, I want to be so nice. I want to be the opposite of my dad is a mantra of every nice guy. My dad taught me everything not to be. So they follow the instructions of their mothers. What did mothers teach you? Don't argue. Don't stand up for yourself. Don't just listen. Just be a obedient, just listen to me and feel sorry for me. That's what mothers teach their kids, feel sorry for me. So they go into the real world, and when they're engaging with women, they're like, I want to be nothing like my dad. My dad always set boundaries. My dad was a bit stern. My dad was a bit hostile. I want to be just nice because mom says that's what works, be nice. In the process of doing that, they emasculate themselves. So what they'll do is they think that the way to a woman's heart is by listening and submitting. They don't realize the way to her heart is showing her who you are and taking her into your world. They think, let me just adapt myself into her world. Let me go to the hairdressers with her. Let me go shop for lingerie with her. Let me just wait and carry her bags. Then she'll love me. But really, she wants to see what you are, who you are. She wants to follow your lead. So in the beginning stages, she might reward that. She might think, oh, it's great that you just answer the calls every day and you stay on FaceTime while I do my makeup and you just, pick me up anytime and you just carry my bags and you cancel your plans just to kind of watch me get my hair done. Later, she will miss the fact that you don't have an identity. And she'll miss the fact that you don't have that masculinity, and she will start to get more and more disrespectful. So it doesn't work being submissive to women. I'm not saying being hostile and being mean works, but what works really well is knowing your own identity and taking her into your world.
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside I view is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.
But your world is one that is positive. It's not one that's harsh, critical, mean, or it's not this hostile kind of alpha male. It's a wonderful world, but she's welcome to it, but you're not going to contort your identity to impress her. Instead, it's just, I've got an impressive life, you can join me. But it's not, I'm going to drop everything and submit to you because you're so beautiful. And it's keeping that identity men find really difficult in this generation. And I don't blame them, by the way. Because so many times I'm like, well, just tell her that this is unacceptable. Or just tell her that, why should you accept that she, keeps posting horrible pictures on Instagram? Well, not horrible, well, like really, pictures on Instagram and keeps talking to her ex. Why don't you just tell her? And he's like, but in America, if you do that, no woman will ever accept you. She'll say you're toxic. She'll tell all her friends that you're toxic. Literally, no woman accepts masculinity. I've got no choice. And I thought they were exaggerating, but after I worked with a couple, I realized that they don't actually allow him to even have boundaries. He'll have no chance with women. So is that true, or is it just what they're telling me?
I mean, that can't be true.
That can't be true.
No, that can't be true because, there are men like that.
Yeah.
Now, in America is a whole nother version. Maybe America is in an even more extreme version of London. Mm-hmm. And it's changing now a little bit, but it went very far, wokeness and all the weirdness. But maybe they'll say that they don't want that, but deep down inside, they want someone with boundaries and structure. And
I know that based on how many women complain about how narcissistic their exes were. If they all liked nice, sweet guys, why is every woman talking about a narcissistic ex? So they're obviously dating men that are more narcissistic, or men with some kind of boundaries, or men with the ability to leave or have alternatives. So they're flocking to narcissistic men, and they're almost waiting for the narcissist to leave them and then complain about him and then post about him and then say how horrible he is. So they obviously do have an inclination towards men. And I think this is what's happened is because it's men have either come in two forms in America or in Western worlds. They either come too nice or too narcissistic. They haven't found the balance. And if they got a choice between a nice guy and a narcissist, they'll choose a narcissist all day, every day, 100 times over than the nice guy. And they don't admit that, but that's what they'll choose.
This narcissist term, I have a real problem with.
Me too.
I just don't like it because it usually means someone that just you don't like or something bad went wrong with them. It's like there's that famous phrase, an alcoholic is someone who drinks as much as you do that you don't like.
Literally.
And so it feels like that term is just thrown out
so
for something
immature.
that went wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't even trust anyone that says that word anymore because it feels like you're just projecting all the blame on someone else.
And you know what? It was so interesting. I have clients all the time, therapy clients. As soon as they they say, my ex is a narcissist, I know they're the narcissist. I know instantly that they're the narcissist, but they've just got a different form of narcissism. Their form of narcissism is becoming an excessive victim. So they'll say, he was a narcissist. Why was he a narcissist? Well, he used to cheat on me all the time, and then I used to catch him, and then I used to, I still wanted to, I then got pregnant, I didn't tell him I was pregnant, and then I cancelled the pregnancy. And it's like, but he showed you everything. You still wanted to be with him. You still wanted to marry him. You still thought he was going to change. And now he's a narcissist because he won't change, even though he showed you everything. You like being a victim. You enjoy it. You like saying breadcrumbing. He was then doing, these buzzwords.
What is breadcrumbing?
A narcissist keyword. It just means giving girls a little bit of attention, but not full attention. So to keep her. So maybe he'll ghost her for a week and then give her a message and she'll be like, oh, look, he's breadcrumbing me. But you're the idiot for responding. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Take some ownership.
Take some ownership. Like, no one can breadcrumb somebody who doesn't accept crumbs. It's only for those people who are begging for crumbs that accept breadcrumbing, but they don't want that conversation. They like to create this, but what if he's a covert narcissist? Or what if he's an overt? This terminology is so embarrassing to hear adults describe other adults as narcissists rather than just saying, you know what, at that time I just had low self-esteem. I just accept anything at that time. I was an idiot. Or at that time I was just super lonely. And we've all been there. At that time I was super lonely. I just accepted it. And it's my own fault. I knew he was full of shit. And I knew he used to do this before. And he told me he cheated on an ex as well. My own fault. What can you do? We learn. That's self-awareness, but narcissism and the other is so childish. And to see that people have created a whole army of followers online simply by using that term is insane to me. But what can you do?
Yeah, I used to have a red flag when I'd interview people and someone would say, oh, I got screwed over by this person or I got messed out of a business deal. Yeah. And that was always red flag. Because it's like, really? You're not going to take some ownership over that?
Every time I've lost money, it's been my fault. Because I trust, yes, of course, people can scam and this, that, and the other. But me, I was stupid at that point. I'm 100% I was stupid. Or even if I've been hurt by somebody, it's something in me. But I also don't think there's anything wrong in getting things wrong in life. It's okay to accept that. At that time that I was dating a narcissist, maybe I was a bit overweight. I didn't really like how I looked. So I accepted a bit of attention from somebody who was wrong for me. Or maybe at that time I was out of a job. I didn't really like my life. So I just needed some company and I accepted this terrible person. No problem. But to blame it entirely on them and not on your engaging with that kind of behavior is so childish.
Okay, so we don't want to be the nice guy because sooner or later she's not going to respect you. And that comes from deep down, physical level, subconscious level. She ultimately is looking for someone who can protect.
She will desexualize you. That's the key. Yeah, that's the key. You can be as nice as possible, but if you become the nice guy, you get desexualized. The key thing with nice men is not that they're too nice, is that they lack masculinity, and without that masculinity, women cannot be sexually invested in you. They can use you, and they can be your best friend, and they can be your girlfriend, but you will lose intimacy because
which means no relationship eventually.
You're just flatmates.
There has to be something sexual there, otherwise there is no relationship. They go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. Otherwise, you become like siblings. The key thing is when you remove intimacy from a relationship, you live like siblings. And what I mean by that is with your siblings, you love them because you're supposed to love them, but you actually hate them. Like you'll fight over a remote where you start beating them up, or they're the only people, if they eat your sandwich, you'll want to punch them. Like we don't get physical with our colleagues if they eat our sandwich. Sure. Siblings, we hate them because they're so intimately close to us, but there's no actual attraction or affection. Nobody really kisses and hugs their siblings. They do with their nieces and like family, but not. Now, this is what couples turn into when there's no intimacy. You're stuck with this person for life. They're in your space all day, every day. They help themselves to everything you own, but you're not actually intimate in any way, so they're a nuisance. And that's what siblings, you get a sibling type relationship. So small things turn into big fights when it comes to siblings. The same thing with couples that are not sleeping together. I'll have a couple on the call, and the way they fight over just maybe the volume of the thing, and it's like, oh, you put the volume too loud on the Zoom call. I'm like, you two don't sleep together, do you? Because this is only how siblings fight. And the other thing to siblings is couples that don't sleep with each other that do this. So it's the desexualizing is really, really important. If you get desexualized in your relationship, you turn into a sister to a woman.
Wow. You've just explained why I don't like my brother and sister.
They're so annoying.
That's so weird. I've never heard anyone explain that.
Because you're stuck with them. You're stuck with them for life.
Love without the intimacy.
Without affect. With your parents, you still kiss them, hug them, you tell them you love them all the time. True. Nieces and nephews, like you could snuggle them all day. It's amazing.
Children too.
They're amazing. But with siblings, you have all of the stuck together, all the intimacy, but none of the affection. So you end up hating each other.
It's so weird. I just thought I was a terrible person.
That's all
terrible
right.
brother.
No, it's just natural. It's so supernatural.
Okay, wow. Now, you said something earlier about how if you're raised by the mother and you reject the father, then you go with all these kind of, I don't know, feminine energy traits. The other thing, I saw you on a show one time talking about the single mother raising you and how that's super dangerous because oftentimes her narrative will be, oh, your father did this and this and this and this, and she even sucks more of the potential masculinity out of a man.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that? Because these days, it's super high. It's like 60% of all men are raised without father figures.
There's nothing more single-handedly more damaging to children's mental health than being raised by a single mother. And I have to say that out loud, honestly, and I would say this even if I became a single mother.
You must get so much hate by saying that.
And I could care less.
That's why I love you,
Who knows?
Sadia.
I might become a single mother.
Right.
I'm not saying this as like, oh, I'm holier than thou.
But we're supposed to cherish the single mothers for doing the impossible job. And you know, in America, if you're a victim, you're always right.
Yeah, that's it. The moment you make a mistake, that means you're right.
Isn't it crazy how the woke culture seeps into our relationships and then causes men and women to not even like each other?
Horribly.
When it starts off as a victim narrative, it actually affects our romance and then even our procreation.
And the way they damage their children with zero guilt. And what I mean by this is so many mums come to me and they're like, oh, I don't allow access to the dad because he's a danger. Why is he a danger? Well, even if sometimes he is a danger, no problem. I do agree that sometimes a man is a danger. Maybe there's been some physical abuse or anything like that. I completely understand. But firstly, I can guarantee you he hit you before you had children. Your judgment made you go and then have children with a man that's aggressive. Who's to say that you might not pick a stepfather who's aggressive or who might even hit the children? Your poor judgment is then leaving your children now without access to their father, but with a woman that chooses badly. What is the biggest cause of children and child abuse? Stepfathers. What does that tell you about who's the danger to children? It's single mothers. It's single mothers that are the danger to children more than anything else because stepfathers are a reflection of what the mother is choosing to put around the children. There are plenty of evil men in the world. I completely understand. But as a parent, it's only my responsibility to protect my kids. It's only your responsibility to protect your kids. I don't care about other people's kids. You don't care about my kids. This is just life. So it's my job to protect them. So if children are being harmed by stepfathers or stepmothers, it's the biological parent's fault. Entirely the biological parent's fault. And we know that there's so many women out there that will say, I never let that guy's father in because he was an alcoholic. He was this, he was that, he was that. But you chose him. So your selection is still the problem. Now we've got these children without biological fathers being exposed to more men of that woman's standard, more men of that woman's taste. Her taste is broken. And the worst thing is, this is every time a man comes to me and he's broken by his wife, he is being alienated from his children. He can't access his children. I'll say to him, what was your relationship with your father? Oh, my father was a narcissist. Who told you that? My mum said that. What did your mum do? No, my stepfather was a great mum. My dad, he was a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. Then we always and we dig deeper. We realize mum alienated the father and hated the father. And then what happens is he ends up selecting women that alienate fathers. They think it's normal to hate your dad. They create a culture in their own home where dads aren't respected because mum hated her dad, he hated his dad. And then they just create children who have no respect for fathers. And then when they're alienated, they're shocked. So when the men have been alienated from their fathers, usually through their mum's brainwashing, they attach to women with daddy issues. Always, because they feel sympathy. They're like, yeah, my dad did that too. They bond over this stupid kind of bonding technique. Yeah. My dad was a narcissist too. High five, let's get married. What do you think is going to happen? She is going to do the exact same thing because that's what happens. You recreate it. And then you'll ignore all the red flags that she missed her dad's funeral. She never she never spoke to her dad. They train the children to do the same thing. So they create a cycle of parental alienation that the men sign up for when they don't realize their mum has done the same to them. So we have to break it.
That's heavy.
It's
Sadia.
so heavy, isn't it?
So heavy. And you've talked before about women that you're dating not the woman, but you're dating her childhood trauma.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I think about some of my relationships in the past, and like you hit that nail on the head.
You're never dating her.
And I was like, no, I'm going to shower her with love and understanding, and I'm going to fix her, and we're going to go on this beautiful thing together. And it never works.
Never.
And how many men are lost in that delusion, or even seek out the broken women to fix.
The fixing. And they enjoy it because it gives them purpose. And the main reason why they like it, the men that do this, they had a single mother that played victim. They come from a home, even if she's not single, but a woman that played victim in their home. She always had to protect her, felt like a savior, felt like a hero, because she would always rely on him protecting her. Then what he would do is be like, who do I find to fix? Because that's how love should look. It should look like, this is how women love you. That's how mothers love you. It's not how women love you. That's how women abuse you. But he would say, okay, who do I need to fix? Oh, you've got an abusive dad? Oh, you've got an alcoholic parent? Oh, you grew up with child abuse? Okay, perfect. I'm going to show you how amazing I am, and you're going to fall madly in love with me. It never works that way. And the reason it never works that way, and it's one of the reasons why I'm Muslim rather than Christian, is this concept of unconditional love leads to unconditional disrespect, but people don't realize that. They think unconditional love makes you grow, flourish, you self-actualize. Never. That's not what happens. When you give animals, dogs, children, women, men unconditional love, they'll give you unconditional disrespect. And what I mean by that is we only respect and become a respectful version of ourselves when there's rules and regulations around our behavior. And if we don't behave that way, we're at the door. If you go to a work environment and you can do whatever you want, wear whatever you want, come where, are you really going to excel? You're going to be in your worst behavior. I used to be a teacher for many, many years in London, and I went into teaching thinking, I'm going to be the nicest, kindest teacher in the world. I'm going to be nothing like these horrible, mean teachers, because I was super young as well. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be that loving teacher. They turn on you immediately because they want regulations. Human beings, partners are exactly the same. Unconditional love is the quickest highway to unconditional disrespect. What unconditional love suggests to the person is, you can treat me however you want, you can act as brazen as you want, you can disrespect me as much, and I'll still be here.
Right.
How can we respect somebody without a skeleton, without something actually holding them up together? Because we're like, okay, then I'm just going to go sleep around and I'll come back to you in 5 years, or I'm going to go use your money and I'll come back to you in a couple of years. I don't have a fear you're going anywhere. There's no deal breakers in you. But the person that says, I love you, you'll have a great life with me, but I'm not going to tolerate this behavior. There are conditions to my love because my love is good for you. And you have to earn it a little bit. The moment they feel that, it brings out a better side in them. So I would say even in parenting, everything, look, I only have a nephew, I don't have a parent. I love my nephew absolutely to death. This is the closest to unconditional love I've got. But I would hope that I wouldn't be that parent that's like, oh, you shut up a school, don't worry, I still love you. I'd be like, what's going on here? Like, there are risk factors. And this unconditional love, I just think is so damaging to children, women, men, everybody. It's damaging.
And that's a Christian concept. Turn the other cheek.
That's why I would never be Christian. Never. Okay. And I know that sounds really bad because sometimes I'll get people saying, you should be Christian, it's unconditional love. Is that? I want rules and regulations. My favorite thing about being a Muslim woman is haram and halal. I love knowing that. That's haram, no bacon, no problem. I know there's alcohol, you're not allowed to touch it. There's no like, oh, you can sip it on certain, no, you're not allowed to touch it. There's zero-sum game with that. No. Because I'm such a regulated person, I need that. If you give me a gray area, I will just ruin myself. It's the same with my food. I need to know I need to be 62 kg. If I get to, you can be between 62 and 72, I'm going 72. I'm going all the way to the end because I don't like grey. I don't bring out the best in me. Right. So that's why I like conditions, because through conditions I gain self-respect. And I know how to regulate my behavior.
And that's why socialism doesn't work and capitalism works, because humans ultimately need accountability.
As a parent, though, can I ask, is it better to be totally unconditional or to have rules and what would you say?
Yeah, I was having a flashback to a conversation I had with a doctor many years ago in London Real Studios, and he said to me, he's a fairly accomplished guy, he said, I'll never, ever tell my sons that I'm disappointed in them. Mm-hmm. That's like my rule. And I was thinking, but what if they really screw up?
What if they're a piece of shit?
I know, yeah. I'm like, what if they screw up? Yeah. Like, I think they need to know that. And I was surprised by that. And maybe that was an Americanism thing.
No, it is an Americanism thing. Because look, one of the things my husband always comments on is like, how come you're still scared of your dad? Like, how come you're still worried about your, like, getting home by 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. because dad's going to get upset? Or how come you're scared of him? You're a grown woman. Why are you scared of your dad? And I said, because I always know that at some point, he could lose attachment to me if I take it too far. I've never taken it too far. But he's not the type of dad that's like, you're an alcoholic, you're drunk, you're sleeping around and getting pregnant by lots of men. Doesn't matter. You've still got a safe place here. He's like, no. That doesn't work in Mr. Khan's world. And growing up with that meant I didn't go anywhere near it. I didn't go, I live in a different country to him. I could easily drink, I could easily smoke, there's the thing. But I know that love, I only get one shot with dad. With mums, yes. My mum, I honestly believe there's anything I can do, she would help me. But if I did a video where I said children should be more scared of their fathers than they should be of the police and teachers. And what I mean by that is, if I commit a crime, my worry is not the police officer. I could care less about him. My worry is when they tell my dad, because I respect my father more than I respect any police officer. Like, who's that? Or like even the teachers, I couldn't care less what the teachers thought. I'd be like, if they tell my dad's going to kill me. That regulated kind of behavior meant I didn't step on police toes. They're last of my priorities, where if I felt like I could do whatever I want, whenever I want, and my mom and dad are still going to love me, or my husband's still going to love me regardless, I'm going to do whatever I want. And I don't want to be a person that does whatever they want. I want a person that knows that the people I love and respect have boundaries, because it brings out the better side of me.
And that translates into relationships as well.
Most into relationships.
If my sons are watching, I hope they better understand that if they do any of this messing up, they better worry about what I'm going to say.
There's something about American men that if you even criticize them this much, as if their fathers, and I don't know if this is all men, do you think men in general, if they get any kind of criticism or hate from their father, they take it super sensitively?
From their father?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think so.
Yeah, what is it about, because every time I have a client that says, I cut my dad off when I was 14, I'll say, what happened? He's like, well, I was mopping the floor left to right. And he said, no, you have to do right to left. And he's just so controlling. I'm like, is that a reason to cut? But then I realized it's the brainwashing with mother.
It's the cultural piece.
It's the cultural thing where any kind of criticism is just like not accepted at all. Is that a common thing amongst men?
It's interesting because I've interviewed some older men on my show, and one of them is super famous. He's in his 80s, and he's a high performance coach with the Castle in Scotland, and we dress very similar. And he used to say that like his dad once in his whole life said, "I love you, son." And that basically his whole life was spent trying to be good enough for his dad. Okay, these are the old school relationships that maybe happened in the 40s and 50s and 60s. And like, and he hit him. Okay, and I think you made some comments about that. We should get into that too. and so, look, on one hand, you say that and say, okay, does it have to be that way? But you can also see it does create young men with boundaries and aspirations. Now, I can't imagine not telling my boys that I love them, because I do love them.
I love my
but at the same time, I want to raise men and strong men, and certain behavior is not okay with me. But like, I can kind of see how that old school way of raising kids, which probably happened for the last few hundred years, of super stern.
Peter Thiel took $500,000 and turned it into $1 billion using the exact same techniques we're using inside the investment club. He met a CEO, his name was Zuckerberg. He pitched him the deal, and he said, okay, I'll give you $500,000. Mark went public and sold the shares to people like you. Well, what happened to Peter? Well, he exited and got a 2,300x return. The wealthy invest in early stage companies, folks. The public markets are for suckers. It's a rigged game. By the way, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-sale tokens. This is Solana. Does anybody know this chain? They sold pre-sale tokens for 4 cents, and you can see the date on there, April 5th, 2018. Look at Solana today, folks. That thing's up over 1,000x. The media and Wall Street and all these hype people get you to buy the top. Meanwhile, they put their clients in at the bottom, and they use you for liquidity to make their clients rich. You can play this same game. You just have to have the financial education and the deal flow. That's it.
No one's going to tell me how to raise my kids, whereas these days everyone's going to tell you. The schools are going to tell you. The governments. I can see how that has benefits.
Yeah, it has huge benefits, because remember, teachers even used to hit kids back then.
I know. Nuns and all that stuff.
They used to hit. So it wasn't just like your evil dad. It'd be everybody. It was a culture. I mean, I don't actually agree with hitting kids, only because I prefer parenting where your consequences are enough, where they don't need hitting. And I also think they're baby. I don't know. For me, I find it hard, the idea of hitting.
Did you make a video recently about hitting your kids?
I don't think I have yet, should I?
Yeah, maybe you should.
I should. I personally don't think you need to, but I'm not the type, because I got hit as a child, to think hitting means abuse. Yeah. At the same time, I don't think a hit means abuse. I just don't think you should. I don't think you need to. But it doesn't constitute as abuse, because sometimes that's the only discipline they knew back then. And I just think that what's happened is men are always designed, evolutionary-wise, to just get the food for the kids. That's it. Food and shelter. They weren't actually kissing, hugging, nurturing, or anything. This is a new phenomenon. So some men they're not used to it. They're not actually programmed for this. This wasn't their tools for survival. So it takes, what's happened with a lot of men in this generation is they expect their fathers to just be a male version of a mother. They just expect to be raised by lesbians, 2 women basically. They want their father to be just as affectionate as their mum was, just as unconditional as their mum was, just as everything their mum was. They want their father. They don't realize that the structure that the father brings is through his kind of slightly more more conditional standards, high standards, more discipline. That's how you get the best out of children. But they just want 2 mums nowadays. And that's why I think it's dangerous for men to have this mentality that fathers should act like mothers.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying with most of that. One of my mentors says, spare the rod, spoil the child. He's a big fan of that. I agree with you. I don't think you need to hit kids.
Yeah.
And also, I think in a weird way, it shows that you have less power. It just like if you swear, whenever you see someone swearing when they're yelling, they use it because they don't have enough power with their normal words. So it's actually a tell that they don't have the power. They don't have the power because you're not respecting them.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think you don't need to do that if you're doing everything else right.
Yeah.
But that means you got to have your own game set up so they respect you.
And consequences to actions.
And consequences. And then maybe they're looking at you thinking, I don't respect Dad because look at him. He's a slob. He's a mess, and he doesn't even respect his own discipline. Why should I respect his?
And sometimes, as a father, does it get undermined by mothers, or like the other way around? Can fathers undermine mothers? Because I think that's the key. Having wives who understand that the version of love fathers give is different to theirs. It doesn't all have to be exactly the same, as long as the child still gets the boundaries he needs. But a lot of women can sometimes undermine the father's version of love by saying it's toxic or saying it's abusive, when really it's just masculine. But
I think it's hard these days because the whole wave of probably a lot of the American-based woke culture is permeating everyone. And so I think now the mothers are a bit quicker to say, oh, that way of father parenting isn't right, and we need to unconditionally love, we need to do all that. Whereas I try to step back, and when the mother isn't saying what I think is necessary, I try to think, okay, that's feminine energy. They need some of that. And then this is my masculine energy, and I'm going to give them a dose of that. Now, of course, since I'm in my own reality, I can't see my flaws. But I would say that sometimes...
But your kids are great.
Sometimes my way, mom is not agree with my way. And my way is the cold reality of life. Now, I have a stepdaughter. She's amazing. She's 20 years old. But I've been telling her for 10 years, when you're 18, I'm throwing you out of the goddamn house. That's it. I don't care. You're not coming back, so you better get your shit together. I've also told her even recently, nobody cares. You've been taught all your life that someone out there that cares or is going to take care of you. I said, nobody cares about you. And unless you get your shit together, you're not going to be able to function in this world. Now, that's my harsh way of maybe trying to prepare her. But I would say mom isn't always a fan of the way I do that. But I know.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.
Hi, it's Brian Rose from London Real. You probably know that we've just recently been re-platformed on YouTube after 25 months completely in the dark. The truth is, I really need your help. What I really need you to do is click on that subscribe button right now, like this video, and maybe even leave a comment or share the link with friends. We're really fighting against an algorithm that's tried to keep us quiet for so long. And the more subscribers we have, the more people watch our content, the better guests we can bring you, the better content, and we can continue transforming lives. We've been doing this for 14 years now. I want to do this for another 14 years, but I really need your help. So click on that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, share this, and we're going to continue to bring you more and more great content. Thank you. Dubai real estate is exploding, and the biggest money is being made where almost nobody is looking, in premium luxury transformation projects that have historically delivered 40 to 90% annual returns. That is incredible. For years, these opportunities were locked inside private networks. You never saw them. You never had access until now. I've spent 15 years on Wall Street and 5 years studying Dubai up close. And today, for the first time ever, you can invest directly alongside my team. We have just received a brand new project with real potential for outsized returns. And early allocations always fill fast. Click the link and apply now. Your opportunity starts today.